When did you first come to the Burpo story? When did you first learn of it?
I learned of it through Randall Wallace, who went and met with him, and Joe Roth, who, different guys, both have had extraordinary careers in cinema, and they both had the same sort of enthusiasm for this story. I wasn't familiar with the book, and they said these are the events that transpired for this family, and I was really taken by it, and I thought that turning it into a screenplay would be not easy to do. I trusted Randy implicitly because I worked with him on We Were Soldiers, which he also had me playing a real life guy there, and I thought if anybody's up to the task, it would be him. But it's a tough thing to pull off so that it doesn't. It doesn't feel like a 2-hour sermon, that it tells you a story, an honest story, and I thought he did an amazing job in doing that.
In bringing the role of Todd Burpo to the screen, I'm sure you spent time with him. What did you think you had to do? What did you want to bring to the?
Well, he's passionate and has a strong, clearly a strong faith and a strong conviction about what he believes, and I think that. And a great love of his children, and I think that those were the things for me to really try to translate as strongly to the audience as possible, whether it was through a sermon or whether it's the interaction with the son. I just felt like that those aspects were non-negotiable with Todd.
In terms of doing a film about the afterlife, caused you to spend any time thinking about that even more than you may have before?
Yeah, I mean, we would, a lot of times in movies, they're moving lights, they're rolling around, and there's Margot and Thomas and Kelly and Randy. I mean, when I'm not throwing baseball with a kid, there's an interesting discussion to be had, obviously, in that thought, in that idea, and in the questions that Todd's book poses. So. I like any movie, at the end of the day, there was a lot of work to do, so I don't know that wasn't first and foremost the job, but I think this movie sparks interesting questions and ideas, regardless of your position on there being a heaven, there's not being a heaven, or where you're at on the spectrum. I think it is the fundamental question of any of our lives.
That said, who is this film for?
As I say, I think it appeals beyond. I think a church-going audience will certainly see an appeal to it. I think there's an audience of people who may be open or not sure exactly where they're at on the faith spectrum. I think the movie does a fine job of not getting distracted or overly burdened with the question, is heaven for real? Whatever you're feeling about that, there's not a one-size-fits-all concept for any of us. And Todd even says, is my version of heaven going to be the same as yours, or yours, or yours? Of course not. And so the movie avoids that trap and instead just tries to tell you the events as they transpired in this small town with these people as honestly as it can.